Okay, so we are fresh off of our exponential unit, so hopefully you guys all got this one. Here they're asking, what does the number 2,649 represent? Well, that's your A term, and so that's going to represent your initial value. And so here's they said that this is base year 3, so therefore this is number of years since 1995. So we're saying that in the year 1995, there was an initial number of elephants of 649. That's the one you're after. Okay, so as I first looked at this, I hadn't prepped these questions, and I feel bad that I hadn't. So as Hannah pointed out, like there is an answer key with full explanation to this one. The basic thing, I was kind of right that you can use a arithmetic sequence with this, but you have one problem with that, is that you don't have a starting amount. You have a total amount that you need to divvy up to each of those, but you don't have a starting amount. So the premise, though, behind it, if you want to look it up at the answer key, is that your initial prize total, your first place winner gets an X amount. And then you also have the next person that gets X, was it minus $50? And then the next person gets X, whatever the initial winner is, but minus 100. And then the fourth place winner gets X minus 150. And then the fifth place winner gets X minus 200. And I think you have to, is it the first one, just set the model? And then eventually you set it all equal to 1,000. Like, so how do you divvy that up? Combine like terms. So you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5x minus, let's see, 200, 400 minus 500 equals 1,000. Add 500, add 500. So you get 5x equals 1,500. Divide both sides by 5. And I should be able to do that. What's it, $300? So that means that the first place winner gets 300. The next winner gets, brain fart, 250. The next one gets 200. The next one gets 150. And the next one gets 100, and all told that should equal 1,000. So 3, 5, 50, 750, 800, 900, 1,000. So that's how you can figure out each of the 5 prizes. So for Jerome here, we basically have to remember, this is actually a really simple one. You just have to know, like, you can't have multiple of the same X inputs with different Y outputs. Remember the definition of a function way back at the beginning of the school year. So in this input table, there are no -5s, so that's great. You can select him. There is a -1, so he can't be selected. There is a 0, so he can't be selected. There is no 2, so that's a good choice. There is an 11, so sorry, that's taken, and there is a 17, that's taken. So you can use -5 and +2. This is a really long one that I'm going to make a separate video for. All right, this one's also pretty easy and straightforward. So you're basically looking at the amount of money you make is a function of the number of tickets you sell. So for every ticket you sell, you're getting a multiple of 9. So you can't earn like $15 in selling these tickets, because if you sell 1, you get $9. If you sell 2, you're going to earn 18, right? So therefore, you're looking at all non-negative integers, because you certainly can't sell fractions of tickets, and you can't sell negative tickets, and you're going to be looking at multiples of 9. Okay, lovelies, this one's a little interesting. So this is looking at the change in points, and you kind of have to look at this almost as if you would a linear, even though it's not linear. So you have the change of y over the change of x. And so you've got the change of 1.0 minus 1.0, 1.5 minus 1.0. Keep it positive. I mean, I could do it that way. As long as I did it that way down the bottom, so they'd both be negative and still make it positive. But anyway, she's rambling. Okay, so we've got 1.5 minus 1.0 to get the distance, the change in distance here. And that's going to give me 0.5, or also known as 1/2. And then I'm going to find the change in distance from here to here, which is 7 minus 3. Okay, so that gives me 4. So I'm going to just rewrite this as fractions. 1/2 divided by 4 over 1. When you have a fraction divided by a fraction, you keep, change, flip. So basically this ends up equaling 1/8, also known as 0.125. If you take 1 and divide it by 8, you get that's your decimal. Okay, next we have 3 points. You only really ever need 2 points to establish slope. So we'll just take 2 of them and we'll say y2 minus y1 all over x2 x1 is equal to m, which is slope. So we'll take 15 as our y2 minus negative 3. Please use your parentheses to separate. 20 minus negative 4. And it's going to equal 15 plus 3, because minus a negative is adding. 20 plus 4, you're going to end up with 18/24, which equals 3/4. Okay, so now you have y equals 3/4 x plus b. So we can pick one of these points, and I'll just use -4, -3 to make it quick and easy. -3, that's your y value from up top here, equals 3/4 times -4, that's your x value from up there, plus b. And if you do this, you'll see what this is. -3 equals -3 plus b, and when you add 3 to both sides, you basically get a b of 0. So there is no, the y-intercept is 0. So your actual function is y equals 3/4 x. And then you can stick all these points in and find out if the x's in these ordered pairs give you the y's in the ordered pairs, and that'll help you. So let's start with, I'll change colors here. Okay, so I went ahead and just did these to save time. So our original function is y equals 3/4 x, and so I plugged in each one of these. Here I plugged in, sorry, let me grab my highlighter. I plugged in the -8 for the x value, and I got out y equals -6, so that's why A works. B, I plugged in -2 for the x value, and it came out 3/2, I think, or -3/2. Either way, it did not come out -1, so that does not work. C, I plugged in 0 for the x value, and I got 0 times 3/4 is 0, so y is 0, so that works. D, I plugged in 4 for the x value, and when you simplify, you get y equals 3, so that also works. And then E, you end up with 9/2, so that does not work. Okay, and then for part B, they're basically saying it's a 3/4 ratio. So if you put the y value over the x value, like let's take D for instance. You take 3, which is the y value, and put it over y over x, which is your constant of proportionality. Remember that. You're going to get a 3/4. If you take an A, -6 over -8, you're going to end up simplifying to 3/4. The only one that doesn't work is C, because 0 over 0 is undefined. And then last but not least, this bottom question here says, does it have a constant rate? The thing is that if it's going to go through the, if it has a y-intercept of -2, then it's not going through 0, 0. Remember the constant of proportionality, it has to go through the origin, not -2.